Welcome once again to another episode of Leeson Learned. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. We really appreciate it, don't we, Dan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, can't you tell how fired up he is? He had to wake up just to say, oh yeah. What a show we've got this week. I am very excited about it. I've known this guy for quite a while. I'm very fascinated with sales and marketing. I've done a lot of sales jobs. I've done a little bit of marketing here and there, but I am very fascinated with what makes a great salesperson, how do you market, how important is a logo, all that kind of stuff. So who better to have on to ask those questions than a sales and marketing expert, and that is who we have on the program this week. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Ryan Beliveau. Ryan Beliveau. What's up, buddy?
How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm just realizing that you and I kind of look like a before and after shot here of someone who's on a weight loss program and decided to care about what they look like. That would be on your side.
No, you look great, buddy.
Thank you. You look good awesome too, man. I like the clock and the Rubik's Cube in the background. This is
the Rubik's Cube. Like, I have no business. I have no idea how to do this.
Just the decoration?
Yeah, it just looks cool. And then I got some books that I haven't read and a clock that probably doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks good though, eh?
It looks great, man. And a little cactus or something on the top as well.
Yeah, it's a fake plant.
Fake plant, of course.
Yeah.
Well, everyone needs a fake plant and a clock that doesn't work in their office. You know what I mean? These are unprecedented times.
If you saw me about 10 minutes before this, I was rushing around. That stuff didn't exist before. So,
yeah. You know. Well, it would have looked weird if it was just an empty bookshelf behind you. You know, what can we find? Go down to the storage unit or the attic and find the clock from 74, the plant we don't need to water, a couple books and a Rubik's Cube nobody's touched. Seriously. Why not? Looks good, buddy. Eh? Well, thank you very much for being here, man. I appreciate this, and I appreciate your time, and I also appreciate you because you're kind of one of a few people that I had discussions with before starting this that kind of gave me the confidence to get it going in a way. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, dude, you're killing it. Like, I've been listening and watching, I guess. And yeah, this is turning into be a really awesome podcast you're doing. Like to be honest, I'm kind of nervous because, you know, you had Lars, who I know really well. Like, I've been listening to every show, and you know, I wasn't expecting with you and Lars to hear that. I thought it would just be like comedy, like slapstick stuff, and like that was deep, man. Like, you know, listening to everything he's been through, and then I think another guest here is Val, another comedian. And then your recent guest, Derek or something like these, like that guy was like heisting, bank, fucking like cars and shit. Like, I'm like, these guys that's like Netflix material. So I don't know what the fuck you want to talk to me about, but I mean, I'm sure we'll figure it out.
Well, you are of course a marketing expert. Sales and marketing expert is how I would describe you. I don't know if that's how you would describe yourself or not, but
thanks. I appreciate that.
For the purpose of this, that's how I would describe you. But prior to that, where are you from? Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in London, Ontario, which is where I am here. I don't know, like pretty boring, you know, upbringing. My dad worked for the government. My mom was a school teacher. We got a younger sister who she lives across on the other side of the world in Dubai, which is actually pretty cool. Yeah. And, and I just went to Oak Ridge High School. Didn't really cause too many problems. Played a lot of hockey. I was a hockey guy. And I was good. And I ended up getting a scholarship So I went over to the States, to New York, and did about 6 years of schooling over there. I got a couple degrees and played some hockey. And yeah, I mean, it was before digital marketing, really. Like I got a graphic design degree, and I was able to really get a pretty cool experience. And I ended up playing roller hockey when I was over there too. And then I got picked up by Team Canada. And then I traveled the world a little bit playing with Team Canada roller hockey on wheels, hockey on wheels.
Right. I was gonna mention that because I remember seeing a picture of you from years ago in the jersey that you guys had like sponsors and stuff on. So how do you get that? Was roller hockey, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So how do you, when you get the scholarship to go to New York, is that for roller hockey or is that for ice hockey?
So that was for ice hockey. And like, I don't know, it's kind of weird because I was a good hockey player, but I wasn't, there were a lot of guys a lot better than me. I was actually really fortunate that my uncle had an audio video company, and he came out and he recorded a bunch of my games, put some VHS tapes together, and we just fired them out to like 200 schools in the States. And that's how you would basically market yourself as a player, as an athlete back then.
Yeah.
And so that really helped me. And then I ended up going to a 2-year school in Utica, New York, which was an experience. I don't know if you've ever been to Utica, New York.
I have not yet.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you probably don't. I mean, there's no reason really to go there, to be quite honest with you, but it's, and then it's upstate New York. And then I transferred to Rochester, a school, RIT, a private university, and kept playing ice hockey there. And then they also had this roller hockey, inline hockey team. So I played ice hockey and roller hockey. And then I excelled in roller hockey, and then, stopped playing ice hockey and just continued. But I did, a lot of the guys that I went to school with, they were there for hockey. They weren't there for school. And I was able to really dig in. It was a weird experience though, because, we were Canadians, and I was a Canadian at a US school. And people didn't really take us seriously when it came to school. So I was in this really hardcore, design program at this like high, like you needed top grades to get into this university, man. Like if it wasn't for hockey, there's no way I belong there. So I'm there with like these top level students, and just kind of fighting my way through. But I was always really creative and innovative, and I did really well from the school point of view. So I was able to kind of get through, but it was always a struggle, kind of, people just thought, oh, this guy's just a dumb Canadian here playing hockey. He doesn't care about school. But I really did want to get my degree. So,
right. Yeah. Did you play hockey with anybody there or against anyone there that went on to play in the NHL?
Like no one really that in my time. There were some guys that went on to play semi-pro, but I mean, the opportunities are so slim, man, to go to the NHL. I mean, it's just like incredibly difficult. And there were some guys that had a chance, but yeah, you end up in the minors, and you're making, $300 a week, and that only lasts for so long. And then you grow up and you want to start a family and that sort of thing. So, yeah.
Right.
So hockey was my way into kind of marketing and, understanding that whole world, and getting a degree, and, some entrepreneurship. I had some really great mentors in some of my professors that I was there. So I was really lucky.
When you get the call for the Team Canada roller hockey, like how does that, do they come watch a game and pick you? Do you send them a tape? Like how did you get on that team?
Yeah, so you send them a resume, and we had just won the college national championships in Los Angeles that year. So it was really cool. Like I'm so fortunate to have had that experience, and I think a lot of it was just timing, and and that sort of thing. And I was the captain my senior year. So I got noticed, obviously at the high level. We were playing schools like, Michigan State and top level schools that also had these inline hockey, roller hockey teams. And, it was big over there. They had, like every school had a roller hockey team. Like it was crazy. And then I just, I sent them off a resume, the Team Canada coaches and the staff, and they, at that time, they would just call around and follow up with me, with my coaches and that sort of thing. And then there was a couple tryouts that we had to go to in Toronto, and I don't know, man, it just it was the right time. It was good timing.
What position were you?
So I was a centerman. And you'll like this. My first experience actually playing with Team Canada was in the Pan Am qualifier in Colombia, Cartagena, Colombia. So at that time, Bogota was like, there was like crazy civil war going on there and stuff. And there's a bunch of us flying into Cartagena, Colombia, and they had set up a rink on the army base. So we played at a rink on the army base in Colombia, and they had stands and they had like fans. I don't know where these fans came. Like there were tons of fans. I don't know where they came from.
Wow.
And it was a cool experience.
Are the games is there checking physical contact too, like in ice hockey, or how does that work?
No, so it's 4-on-4, and there's no icing, no offside. So you play in you play in a rink, a regular sized rink. You play on sport court, and it's 4-on-4, no icing, no offsides. There's a little bit of body contact, but it's more like a watching basketball, like a combination between basketball and hockey. Like you go down to one end, you set up and take your shot or your shots or whatever, and you go right back on the defense. It's a really fun game and really exciting game to watch. We play with a puck, not a ball, like full equipment, all that sort of thing. The goalies are in full gear. We had 2 guys pass out from heat exhaustion in Colombia because it's just so fucking hot. And it was just cool experiences like that, where you can go to these countries. They love the game of hockey, but they don't have an ice rink around every, in every neighborhood. So
right.
Wheels takes, instead of blades, I guess.
And did you guys end up winning championships for Team Canada?
Yeah, we would win, here and there, but in that world, countries like France, Czechoslovakia, Switzerland, like they're really strong in the game of roller hockey. So, the North America, like US and Canada, we got by on our hockey knowledge and our grit. But man, these, the French and the Swiss, like they're skilled. Like they skate circles around us. So we would have to really just dig in and be smart and play zone and use our body. You start using your body a little bit with these guys, and then they shy away, and you can start, you really set the tone by intimidating at the beginning. Right. So
any crazy, like after you've won a championship, any crazy party stories, anything insane happen that stands out?
Yeah. Like, I mean, there's some I could talk about, some I can't, or I probably shouldn't, but, we had, when we were in Colombia, we had guys with, young kids, army guys with guns, like following us around because they're worried that we get kidnapped and ransom and all that. I mean, man, I was 20, we were like 25. I didn't know like we were grabbing these guns and holding them for pictures and all this, and like it was crazy, man. And so we got in a bit of an altercation with the US team at a bar, and then you look up and we had like 20 army guys with guns pointing at us, and we were like, oh, wait a sec, we're not in the States or Canada. We got to behave ourselves.
Wow.
So that was a pretty crazy story.
So is that like a bar fight breaks out and they break it up with guns, or
A little bit
like a shouting match? Or
no, there were some right hooks and left hooks, flying around.
Was there fighting in the games too? Can you drop the gloves?
Yeah, once in a while there would be, but I mean it's a pretty calm sport when it comes to that, and that's why there's so much skill and so much speed involved, because you don't have offsides, you don't have icing, you barely have any whistles, right? And it just keeps the game flowing, and it's an incredible game to watch. I wish more people in Canada knew of the game. And we do, but ice hockey is just so prevalent here that everyone's gonna gravitate to that.
What kind of player were you? Goal scorer, more of an assist guy?
I was pretty gritty, man. Like I did not really have the size, so I would dig in. I would like fight hard in the corners, and yeah, I mean, I think my whole hockey career, I kind of had to be like that, because I didn't have the size, and I was really good skater, so I could outskate people. And I didn't have the hockey smarts. I mean, there's a thing called hockey IQ, and I didn't have that, and that probably is what held me back. I'm sure, and then my size and that sort of thing. But I would dig in. I would be gritty and it's just my style, just a quiet confidence of working my ass off. And, that kind of transferred over into my career, as well as in marketing and sales too, just quietly, plugging away, not talking about all the awards I win and that sort of thing. Before you know it, I'm like first on the sales list, of guys that sold across Canada, that sold the most newspaper ads or whatever. And people are like, what, like, how did that happen? Right. So I just always kind of quietly gone about my business and kept my head down and just, really dug in.
You mentioned, the new selling newspaper ads, which is, I think, how I met you. I think so. You came into like a comedy club that used to be in London, which is renowned as the worst run business in the history of businesses, of any type of business, not just a comedy club. And there's been horrible comedy clubs run out there, but I digress. You came in trying to sell newspaper ads, I believe, to the club, right? And I think that was the first time I met you.
Yeah, man. Okay. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I've been, even just before coming on, I'm like, how did Jeff and I meet? And we've had our Williams Coffee House meetings, you and I, and, like we've always tried to kind of find a way to work together. And I have such high respect for you and Lars and the things that you guys do as content creators. And it's just like, I've always been like, I gotta figure out a way how to work with these guys. And I'm sure there will be, but yeah, I was trying to figure that out. And yeah, you're right. So I worked for Metro News, London.
Right. Which is like, is that the free paper they used to hand out? Like there was like kids on the corners sort of handing them out, right?
Yeah. So yeah. So I was there and it was downtown. I was there for like 3 years. I got recruited by them. I just finished working for Maple Leafs division of Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment in Guelph, where I had been commuting back and forth from London to Guelph every day, and like it was as a marketing director, and it was an amazing position, amazing job, but it just kind of took its toll. They wanted me to move up the ranks, and I just wasn't in a position, to move to Toronto at that point with a young family and that sort of thing. So I got talking to Metro News, and I'm like, what is this Metro News? Like, what is this free daily newspaper? But that was it. It was a free daily newspaper. Right. It was kind of like, it was kind of like social media in a newspaper, because it was small, really small stories, like quick snippets of things that were happening. It was positive news. So there's a real, so I came in as key account manager, and my job was kind of to build these relationships with these, net high worth clients that would have big budgets to advertise and that sort of thing. And I did really well because I had a network here in London. So right away I was able to, get some big accounts on board, and then it just, I loved it. I loved it. It was a really, really good environment. It was a good spot for me as, kind of a sales manager role, and just selling ads and creating relationships and going out to events like the comedy club thing that you were talking about. And that's all it was. It was relationship building, and it was cool, and it was awesome, and I loved it.
What was your very first sales job? Did you like work in a retail store or anything like that? Or did you go right into like actual business sales?
Yeah. So I got my first corporate career or corporate sales job was with a company called Cintas Corporation. So they're a Fortune 500 company, and they're facility services.
Uniform guys?
Uniform guys.
Yeah. I see their trucks.
Yeah. So I had like 7 interviews with this place. It was crazy. And eventually they hired me. And the deal is that you basically get a truck, and you basically run your business out of that truck. Like those, like they look like UPS trucks, but they're white, and they say Cintas on it. And so you have these routes, and you drive around.
U away. By the way, that company is one misplaced U away from something that could never be on a truck. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, that's good that you picked that up. So that was the deal. Like you basically had this business on wheels, business in a truck, and you had these routes, and you drive around, and you would go into places, and you would bring in a clean mat, and you would roll up their dirty mat, and then you would bring their clean uniforms and take away their dirty uniforms. And it was, and then so on top of that, there were these peripheral sales. You could sell them like, toilet paper and then all these other things that they would use in their factory or their facilities. So it was kind of the perfect role for me at that time, because the big thing in that company was internal growth. So taking a current customer that might be, I don't know, $30 a week or something, or switching a couple mats or a couple uniforms, and then building that account up to like, whatever, $100 a week or $200 a week or whatever, just by seeing them every week and creating that relationship and that rapport and that trust. And I did really well because I could just, build that rapport and that trust pretty quickly, and they would just buy different things from me. I remember we had a promo of these jackets. They were like winter jackets. So we could sell direct. We could sell like, like golf shirts and shit like that, like just direct. So they had these winter jackets, and they were in the corner, and our GM was like, guys, you gotta sell this. There were like 30 of us as service sales representatives. And he was like, you got to sell these things, or collecting dust. And I'm like, they were brutal. Like they weren't very good, but I dug into kind of the background of this jacket, and I realized that the sleeve and inside was made by the same material that scuba divers material was made from, and there were some other things to it. So I went out, I threw a jacket on the truck, and I would bring this jacket in to all my customers, say, you guys got to buy a couple of these, man. They're like great deal, made with like scuba diver like material, the top stuff. And I sold like all of them. And our GM was like, called me up. He's like, I don't know how you did that, man. I was expecting, 5 to be sold, and you sold like 40 of these things. So, but I think that's just, I've just kind of been able to find just kind of find those little nuggets, internally, and that's helped with my career in sales and marketing and that sort of thing too. So.
What, in your opinion, what makes a great salesperson? What are you looking, if you're the one doing the hiring and you're looking to hire a new salesperson, what is it that you're looking for? That's hard to say, because does it depend on what you're selling?
Yeah, you know what, to a point, but I think that at the end of the day, it's about someone that can build a relationship, and trust and rapport really quickly, because no matter what you're selling, I mean, people buy from people they like, so no matter what you're selling, you're selling a pet rock, for God's sakes, I mean, as long as you can build that rapport and that trust and have that, have a bit of patience, then I think that's where those are the type of people that I would be looking for. I mean, you see so much now that it's like, you probably see, you get someone, a LinkedIn friend, or someone friends you on LinkedIn, and right away they're trying to sell you, something. And it doesn't work. You got to take the time and spend the time to build that rapport with people.
What's the most difficult thing you've ever had to sell, or I guess the most difficult sales job you've had?
The most difficult sales job I would think is what I'm doing right now as an entrepreneur. Because I've always kind of been that career guy, corporate career. And I left that world 6 years ago when I started my marketing business, and I think now it's more challenging now than ever, because I'm not just selling a newspaper ad, I'm not just selling a specific service. There's all kinds of things that I need to sell. The things we're selling, I need to sell my, what my company brings. And then on top of that, there's operations, and there's all these other things that they just, it sucks I mean, there's no way to candy coat it. I mean, entrepreneurship is just, it's a grind, man. And it's not fun a lot of days. My parents think I can just go out and golf every day because I own my own business.
Right.
And it's just not how it is. So, but I'm not complaining. I mean, this is what I've chosen, and I believe in it, and I do love it. But I think now more than ever is what is the most difficult time in sales for me. And I feel like I'm just getting started.
What made you decide to step out of that corporate world and work for yourself?
I think that's a good question. I think that I've always been this, they call it, I guess there's a term for it, intrapreneur, or, there's, these people in organizations that they are entrepreneurs, and they think with an entrepreneurship mind, but they're limited because of the systems and the process and that sort of thing that corporations put in, and that sort of thing. And I had a great corporate career, but I think it was just inevitable that, my last job that I left before, going out on my own, I had like basically 9 people to report to. And I wanted to get things done with speed and efficiency. And then, you just can't with that many people. And just that, all those processes and systems, and I know they exist for a reason, but I think at that point I was like, well, I got to do this now, and get out and just expand and see how it goes. And I was scared. It's scary, scared shitless when I did it. But I was able to get people that trusted me, some companies that trusted me really quickly with their marketing, and we did a really good job and just expanded from there. So,
In the beginning, I remember you telling me about it was like a marketing audit, I think was how you put it.
Yeah.
And what was that? Like, what was the process of that?
So basically a marketing audit is that, did my camera stop? This is doing wonders for my marketing company.
There he is. Yeah. I hope you're not selling those cameras. I hope one of your sales jobs is not to be selling those. They need some.
It won't be anymore. That's for sure.
Here's some marketing. Here's a free tip for whoever runs your camera marketing wise. Make sure it fucking works when you need it. Unbelievable.
No shit.
What kind of camera are you using so everybody knows what not to buy?
I don't think I should say that. Canon. It's a Canon. I know I got a bunch of these things kicking around. It's a Canon. It's probably yeah. Maybe I just don't look right anymore because that's where
there it goes. Froze again. And now we're back to the utility. Oh boy.
There we go. I'm back.
He's back. There we go.
Aren't you happy?
All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back.
What were we talking about?
Okay, you were saying, what were you saying there? You were talking, Dan, what was he saying? Dan's falling asleep. Everything's gone to hell here.
Dan.
This has gone off the rails.
I'm so exciting, the things that I'm talking about. Everyone's just falling asleep. It's amazing.
The audit. I was asking you about in the early going when you first made the jump into running your own marketing company. You were doing something with a marketing audit, right?
Yeah, it's a 360 audit that we developed that it's not really unique to the industry, but it's unique to the to how we sell and how we onboard and how we prospect, clients. So it's it really just explores, all the strengths and weaknesses that a company may be experiencing right now. So we do a full audit on like their SEO on their website SEO, maybe their branding, their social media, like just the full gamut of audit of their digital marketing and their overall, it could be traditional marketing as well. And what that does is, it kind of allows both sides, the client or the prospect and us, to discover together what might need to happen and what they may need. Because what I've not wanted to happen is that we just go in guns blazing and just start selling everything under the sun, because you're going to get nowhere. It's just, that's going to go nowhere. So I thought, let's do a discovery, this discovery audit together. And we may find that you don't really need much from us, to be quite honest. And I'm okay with that, because if we were to sell things that they didn't need, that's just going to go wrong eventually anyways. So, we can kind of understand quickly with the prospect and with the client, what they may need, what we can work on, what might be a priority. And I'm okay with it too, if they just take it and they need time with it, or they have someone internally that can, do the work for them. And that's just the risk that I'm willing to take. And I'm okay with that. So that's where and that's been going really well, actually. We're trying to get it to a point where, it is a proprietary tool that we use that's very unique to us. Again, you can have audits done that are out there, but I think that we bring a certain uniqueness of this particular audit to the industry.
Has there ever been a time where you audited a company and had to come back and just be like, I don't know how to tell you this, but I can't help you and nobody can?
There have. There's a funeral home actually that we do some work for, but man, we struggled to find ways that that we could help them in the funeral service, because it was just such a unique and different type of industry, that we struggled to find a way where we could really help them creatively. So, we've guided them a little bit, but I think that that was a situation where I was really just trying to talk them out of it, to be honest with you. Because I didn't really see how we could help, but they really, really wanted to work with us. So we've found a way, to help them. And actually they're a fantastic client. And we have found a way, but that was an interesting one from the beginning. That's for sure.
That's the true sign of a sales master, where you're trying to talk them out of the sale, and they're like, no, but please let me give you money. And you're like, no, I can't take it. I can't accept this. No, please take our money. All right. If you insist, I guess you can pay me. That's what a brilliant sales strategy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is a strategy. The reverse sell is a strategy. It really is. And I mean, there are people that are, they're masters at that, at the reverse sell. And, if you can master some of these things, the other thing is, taking a client or a prospect to no quicker than yes, because, sometimes what happens is that if you're a nice guy, it's hard for people to say no to you, and you're going to do all this work for them, with discovery and trying to find ways that you can sell them your services. But they just, at some point, it just may not, it wouldn't work out anyways. So if that makes sense at all.
Yeah, absolutely. We've lost your camera once again here, unfortunately.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. This is really not a commercial for Canon, for sure. This would be the direct opposite. If we were doing an audit for them, we'd say, fix your fucking webcam.
This episode of Leeson Learned is sponsored by the Big Fish Steak and Lounge in Sarnia, Ontario. One of my personal favorite restaurants in the world. I was going to say in the country, but no, in the world. They have some of the greatest food I have ever had. Every single time I eat there, I think to myself, it will never get better than what I have just eaten. And the next time I go back, they top it once again. It's that good. If you live in the Sarnia area, make sure you book your reservation for lunch or dinner, or hell, book your reservation for both right now. Do it tonight. What are you going to cook for dinner tonight? Probably something awful. Don't do that. Head on over to the Big Fish Steak and Lounge. If you don't live in Sarnia, I suggest you make a trip down just for the food, or if you're going to be in the area, stop in and have one of the greatest meals you will ever have.
You had mentioned the reverse sell, right? I was thinking about, have you ever seen the book The Game, or like anything to do with like pickup artists?
No.
You know what I'm talking about? So there's an old book from years ago called The Game, and it was basically this guy was a pickup artist, and he interviewed a bunch of other pickup artists and hung out in this community and sort of went through all of these different, like, I think one might even be called the reverse sell, and one's like a push pull, and one you insult the girl, and and it's supposed to anyway. And I was wondering if you'd ever heard of that or seen that, how closely related some of the things a pickup artist will tell you to do, and some sales strategies, how closely related those are.
Like pickup artists, as in like a guy picking up a girl.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on now, because it's a different time, but like 10 years ago, easily, there was this boom of pickup artists. Like, there was people that their whole job was to teach men how to talk to women and basically
Really?
how to pick them up. Yeah. Yeah. You didn't never heard any of this?
No, I haven't heard it. This
What's
is
the guy's
fascinating,
name?
man.
The
I've never heard of
Mystery.
this.
Yeah, Mystery. There's a guy called Mystery. They all had like, well, I guess some of them went by their real names, but they all had like a nickname of some kind. And that, yeah, it was a whole thing, man. And it was this huge boom for a while. I used to host a TV show in Toronto, and we did a whole episode on the pickup artist industry, which was when the book The Game came out. It kind of opened this whole door for guys, and a lot of people were scammers. Like, just like any other industry, there was people that came along and charged money and they didn't know what the fuck to do, but there were guys that were legit making huge money and like taking nerds and just, embarrassed guys, or guys that were just like too shy to talk to women, had no idea what to do, and then taught them these ways of getting girls to like you. And it just reminded me of it when you said reverse sell, because one of the things I remember from that book was go up, insult the girl, act like you don't like her, act like you be a piece of shit, and then you go home with her at the end of the night. So I think, knowing that you don't know any of this, I guess this question doesn't apply, but I think there's a lot of, and especially because like over my years in stand-up, I've had to take jobs, and I've had a bunch of sales jobs, and there's a lot of similarities between the pickup artist sort of industry and the sales game, especially if you're being taught sales by someone like, because there's different types of sales, right? Like I remember I worked for a water company that was essentially a scam. You would go into people's houses, you would dip some shit in their water and be like, see what's happening here? Your water's no good. You should buy my water because it's, it's got less fucking shit particles in it, or whatever our story was. And I remember thinking at the time, like, I sold a bunch, and I was like, I don't know if I feel right about this, because I feel like we're just fooling these people into buying other water.
Yeah. That's great. But like, I mean, you're a great salesman. Like, you have to sell. Like, you're constantly selling. You've been selling, your show, and like you've been hustling and grinding. And I mean, you must have had some really good sales gigs, I would think.
Yeah, I wasn't. I have never been good at them, because I didn't care. I can only sell if I care. If I care about something,
right?
Like comedy, I've been doing since I was 14. It's all I've ever really wanted to do. And so to book a show or sell a tour, sell a package, that stuff, I would just go until I sold it. It was like, I'm going to put in as many hours today as it takes to sell as many shows as I want to sell, back when shows were a thing you could do. But it worked because I cared about it. But any other job I've had where I would have to sell, inevitably I would either get fired or quit, because I didn't give a shit about what I was selling. Right.
But did you find that humor helped in sales? Like, humor must help. Like you sell the water, and oh shit, your water's brown, and you make a joke about it or something. I mean, like that, like comedy, that's a real skill. And, I think like that's what, like, I'm not funny at all. And all, I like, it's like, I'll watch comedy shows and that sort of thing. But that's why I have, such high respect for guys like you and Lars and other guys people in the industry, because it's just like, you're just constantly, like, your mind's just constantly going with creating content but I mean, it's got to help with the bonding and the rapport and all that for the sales thing, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I think sales training, like in some of the jobs I've had, you have to go through like 2 weeks of training for whatever it is they want you to sell. And I think that part of that was the connection, like connecting with somebody and building rapport with somebody. And that really helped me with audiences, because it was like, if I can build a rapport with one person just face to face, how can I do that with a room full of 100 people or 500 people or 1,000 people? So that really helped from the opposite angle. And then I'm sure from coming from stand-up into sales, I'm sure the limited amount I did sell when I was able to, con people into going with different water, then I'm sure that aspect of it, coming from stand-up helped in the sales side as well. But I have found a lot of similarities in the sales and especially in comedy, because I've done my own bookings. It's been very helpful.
Do you find that being a comedian, people are always expecting you to be funny? Like, I would think that would be exhausting, man. Like, people just, what's he gonna say next? Even just in regular conversation.
Yeah. And what's worse is when they're disappointed that you're not like, hey, this guy all the time, because I'm not like, I'm a pretty chill person when I'm not on stage or not performing. I was not the class clown. I was not the person constantly acting out in school. I wasn't like, I was respected and known, but not like popular. You know what I mean? Everybody knew me. I was cool with all groups and I hung out with the popular kids. I hung out with the people that played like Pokemon and shit at lunch, equally. Right. And I have strong relationships with all of them, but I wasn't the Mr. Entertainment. It was just something I knew how to do and could turn on and turn off. And then the performance side I really enjoyed. So there's more so than people thinking like, or asking, tell me a joke or whatever. I remember when I was really young, like 20 or 21, one of my first weekend shows at a comedy club in the States, it was in St. Cloud, Minnesota.
Wow.
And back then I was the opening act, right? So there's a headliner and I opened up for the headliner. And after the show, these two girls, it was very rare in comedy do you get people like girls especially approaching you after. It's not like music or being a rock star or being a famous comedian. It's way different, right? So it was very rare. So these two girls come up and they're like, hey, we thought you were really funny. And we were kind of hanging out with the headliner and me, and he took off. So it was just me with these two girls, and I'm 21 years old. And I'm like, holy shit.
Oh,
man.
shit.
I think I might have an opportunity here to do something I never thought would be possible, all from comedy. It was like the greatest night ever. So
did you do a reverse sell at that point?
I didn't even know what a fucking sell was, man. I was so bumbly and such an idiot, and I had no business even being in that scenario. But I had such a great set. That was the thing. I happened to crush that night, and I was not great then. I was barely even passable as a comedian, but I just happened to have a really good night, and I looked good in front of the audience. So they end up coming back to the condo that we were staying at, and I'm like, here we go. This is it. So we get back there, and we're there for like an hour, and then I realized like, oh, they seem like they're about to go, like to leave. And the one girl goes, so we're gonna head out. And I'm like, oh, really? And they're like, yeah. And then right before they leave, she goes, you weren't nearly as fun and as funny as we thought you would be.
No shit.
And it was just like, dagger to the heart. Like went from, I'm thinking this fucking like Pornhub scenario is about to happen. This young comedian, not knowing if I'm doing the right thing with my life. And then I'm like, oh yeah, this is it. And then just a dagger to the fucking heart with,
man.
So that can be tough, or, people expecting you to be Mr. like, all right, the comedian's here, the other thing that happens a lot is, people think they have to be funny. They have to be on
around
me. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that around you. Like, I kind of get like that around you because, I'm not funny. and then I'm also fairly slow at, like, I'm not like quick witted, so it takes me a while to absorb things and understand. So like sometimes I'll go quiet, and people might mistake that for like, he's not getting it, but I'm just absorbing, what the conversation is about and that sort of thing. So that's where with comedy, I'll miss a lot of things because it'll take me, a minute to get it or whatever.
I do want to ask though, just getting back to the marketing stuff.
Yeah.
How important is a good logo for a company?
I think it's everything. I think it's, I think you start there. Because, a brand and a logo is, that's your foot you put forward. And what I find a lot is that people will take a shortcut on their logo, maybe years ago, maybe they started their business years ago and they're like, oh, I'm just going to, do a quick little logo here, do it in Word or whatever. And then their business evolves and it expands. And then the problem is that you get into issues where you need your logo to show well on so many different platforms. So you could have a point where, maybe your business or your company expands and you need a logo on a truck or whatever. And if you don't have it properly vectorized, and if you don't have a really engaging logo or brand, you're just going to work backwards. So I think that it's a good question. I'm glad you asked that, actually, because I think that's really something that gets overlooked quite a bit is the branding. And people just think, oh, my cousin can do a logo for me for, $20 or whatever. But they're not thinking the entire scope of, years down the road, or how this logo is going to look like in black and white, or, all these different variations. And I think that, logos can be cheap and you can do it, inexpensively. But I think that investing in your brand, your logo up front it's everything. It's so important. And I think a lot of marketers will tell you that.
The webcam's still out there. Do you want to try to do what you did before?
Yeah.
There we go. There he is.
There you go. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, baby. We're back.
And we got a wider view now. We can see the picture and the wall.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. Look at that.
And also your shirt is admitting you're a bad dad, which is an odd reveal. Near the end of this interview, we've revealed that you think of yourself as a bad dad.
We should have started the interview with this.
Yeah. Does that mean like bad, or bad, like good, bad?
So it means like badass dad.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a company that we've kind of talked to out of Calgary, and they do these dad boxes where they kind of send out gift packages and things like that for dads. It's got like alcohol in it and shirts and stuff like that. So yeah, bad dad.
The classic dad package, alcohol and shirts.
Yeah. Yeah.
How has marketing for companies changed right now during these times in COVID?
I think that the buyers are more intentional. They're not spending less, but they're more intentional, and they're becoming more educated in their purchases. So what's happening is that, a lot of businesses have to think creatively, and they have to use the tools that are available, and not shy away from it or be intimidated by all these digital tools. Like, create Facebook shopping experiences for people. Make sure that you're giving a lot in terms of, an actual loyalty program, engaging them with really good content that they can use, not just getting an email every day saying 50% off, 50% off, like creating good content where people really can use it, and it's, good content that they can, and then obviously create that. That's creating that, like we talked about, that rapport and that bond and that trust through digital marketing that way. So
what advice would you give to a company right now that's looking to do more with their marketing, or especially a company if they're just starting up right now? What advice would you give them marketing wise, especially during this time?
Yeah, like if a company's just starting right now,
Yeah.
eh? Well, I mean, they've got to have a good they've got to have a good digital experience. They've got to be able to be found, digitally, and they've got to have their SEO, their search engine optimization, like figured out. They have to make sure that they're targeting people that they think are going to, be their customers, giving product away for people to try. Another big thing that I think is really underutilized is influencer marketing. So, if I were a new business starting up right now, if I was like a running shoe business or something, I would go to every, ex-NHL player in London, CrossFit people, runners, whatever. And I would either give them a discount or gift them a pair of shoes in return for them talking about my business, because you need that instant audience and that exposure, and these influencers are going to do that. And sometimes it might cost you. I mean, there are costs that go with influencers, but I mean, more often than not, you give, a guy with, I don't know, 200,000 followers on Facebook or Instagram, a pair of shoes, and he talks about your business for a week or a couple of weeks, then that's a great ROI that you're going to have. Or a bakery or anything. I mean, be prepared to give product away, but do it intentionally and do it, smartly, where you're giving it to people that you're really going to get that exposure in return.
What's the biggest mistake you see companies make from a marketing perspective right now?
I think there are mistakes that companies make. I think a big mistake is that they're not posting or they're not creating content as frequently enough as they should. And it's easy for me to say that because, I'm not that business owner who is, in their business and working in their business and that sort of thing. But you have to be on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. You have to be in these spaces, and you have to understand it, and you have to intimately understand and know, how these are going to help your business and how it'll help your business grow. And I think that also another thing is that people just don't do video enough. And, we've got these phones that everyone's got a phone with a good camera or whatever right now. And,
some people buy Canons, which is a huge mistake.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We'll keep conversation. Yeah. So not camera or not Canon. Does Canon even make phones?
No, I don't think so. They barely make cameras, as it turns out.
Yeah. Well, we fixed that.
So you're saying more video, though. You think the best way to go right now is more video content for companies?
Yeah, I think more video content. You're going to see that a lot more too. You can get a ring light, you can get a little tripod. But what I think people need to do and business owners, is break down the content in bite-sized pieces of content. So what I mean is, don't create a 10-minute long video, create 10 different 1-minute videos on different topics of how to do this or how to, and then what you can do is you can remarket that content in a lot of different ways. Keep it clear and concise, and anyone can do it. I mean, I know I don't love being in front of the camera. A lot of people are camera shy and that sort of thing, but just practice in front of the camera, do a few clips here and there, and you'll get good at it. And there's different apps. There's an app that'll actually do a teleprompter on your screen, and you can read it as it films you. And the tools are out there, right? You just have to, you got to find them. So,
well, Ryan, I really appreciate this, man. Thank you so much for taking the time and being on the show. And I really had a great time, man.
Me too, man. I really appreciate it. And you're doing a kick-ass job with this. I'm excited to, be a fan of this show and listen and watch, and I'll cheer you on. And I just keep her going, man. You're doing a good job. You're doing a really good job. You're a great interviewer, and I think it's going to go really well.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that a lot. If there are companies that are looking to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
We're pretty under the radar, to be quite honest with you. We're not, out there actively trying to find a ton of new business. But I mean, if people need help, if even if they have questions about anything, you can find us at believomarketing.com. I'm on Facebook. We're on Facebook myself, for our business, that sort of thing. And pretty easy to find on LinkedIn too. So.
Nice. The classic Beliveau no sell, reverse sell.
Listen, it is, man.
We're under the radar. We don't really need anyone. We're not really looking.
We don't need your business.
Don't ask. We can't. It's just like the funeral home. We can't be bothered. There's nothing we can do. But if you want to give us your money and you want us to help you,
we might take your money.
I guess we can.
The budgets are there.
The classic reverse sell. I think we've all learned something from this. Every one of us should get out there and reverse sell the shit out of something.
Baby.
We've all been taught a great lesson here. Ryan Beliveau, Beliveau Marketing. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.